This is my newly constructed window, and in this video I'll show you how to install a marble windowsill. Step 1. Use a knife and cut off any excess foam. You can also use a putty knife to help you clean it up. You want to make sure that the surface is nice and leveled as much as possible. Step 2. Take a dustpan brush and clean the debris from the windowsill. You can also use a vacuum. Step 3. Measure your window width in both places, on the inside of the windowsill and on the outside of the windowsill. They may vary, so it helps to know exactly what that is to minimize that gap. Step 4. Take the marble windowsill using a tape measure, measure the measurements you just took, and do this for both measurements. Then use a straight edge or a square and make a line. Next, I also marked my depth as I didn't want the windowsill to stick too far out, so you can gauge this based on your liking. And I used a level to draw a straight line. I used this Sharpie, which is oil-based and works really great, especially on a glossy surface where a pencil doesn't work. I'll have the links in the description below. Step 5. Set the marble sill on something that supports it while you're doing your cutting. I used a tile grinder to make the first cut. You can also use an angle grinder, but you need to make sure you have a diamond blade on it. Again, I'll have the links for everything in the description below. Then, the long cut, you have to make sure you go slow and steady. Keep in mind, this will create a lot of dust, so it's best to do this somewhere outside. Also, don't forget to wear your safety glasses. Next, we do a fit check. This is to make sure that the cut piece fits well and that I didn't screw anything up before applying the cement on it. I'm using this ProFlex 42 cement that I got from a local flooring supply store. You can also use any flooring cement from Home Depot or Lowe's as well. Put a small amount into a clean empty bucket. I'll be using a margin trowel and a big sponge. Take the sponge, add the water to the bucket with the cement. Do a small amount at a time and mix. Repeat this process until you achieve a good consistency, kind of like a peanut butter paste. You don't want this to be too runny. At the same time, you don't want to be too firm either. And here's what mine ended up looking like. Next, take a margin trowel and put a blob closer to one edge. I typically like to do 3 blobs, 1 in the middle and 2 on the sides. I make sure that it's a good amount so that I have enough to level it out if needed to. Then take the windowsill and put it on these blobs carefully. Now take the level and make sure it's leveled side to side as well as front to back. I'm using a bigger level for side to side and a smaller level for front to back. Once I start pressing down, you can clearly see I made the blobs a little bit way too big and the excess cement is starting to come out. This is why it's always good to have a bucket of water nearby and that big sponge to help you clean it up right away. I also used my finger to clean up the excess near the seam where the window meets the windowsill. And I used the sponge to do a final clean. Finally, I used this tile leveling wedge to wedge it in the middle to make sure it doesn't move while it's drying. This ensures that everything is going to stay leveled. I used Sherwin-Williams brand caulking, white one for the sides and the brown one next to the window. Using caulking is pretty straightforward. Just apply a small bead, use your finger to clean it up, and if needed, use a sponge as well. I also used excess cement and filled the hole at the bottom of the window and painted it to give it a final look. And here's what it ended up looking like. Click on this next video where I show you how to remove a windowsill and replace it with a wood windowsill next.